Man City, we meet again. I think that is, and I don't think it's a controversial take, I think it's going to be Arsenal versus City for the title. And in this video, I want to talk about what we learned from this game through the lens of Arsenal, to a degree. This is Goonerverse news. But I want to talk about what we learned from both sides, what I make of the title race, what I make of Arsenal's position in this race, the fact that we're coming up against a side for the title, who the last two times we've done that with, the last time we've done this dance, it's not gone well with us. But I believe this year can be different. I actually am not sitting here looking at City and what was a real statement win and a very good performance. I'm not sat here going, oh no, history will repeat itself. I'm feeling weirdly encouraged. But I think it's important we talk about the two sides we've just watched in some detail. I think it's important we give praise where it's due, because Man City, for the first 45 minutes, Liverpool had no idea, did they? City had chances, obviously missed the penalty. Controversial on that one. But we'll talk about decisions in a sec and the importance of them in the title race. But I just felt that City ultimately showed what they can do to match teams physically, even when they want to get creativity on the pitch. So the likes of Bernardo, Foden, Shirky all started with Nico and Doku and obviously Haaland up front. That's a lot of creativity, that's a lot of flair. But to beat a Liverpool side and get on top of them like they did, you've got to match them physically, and they did that too. So I thought it was very impressive from City from that perspective. When you've got Erling Haaland in the form he's in, there's a bit of a trend on YouTube, isn't there, to say, Arsenal are scary, Liverpool are scary, the word scary going around. Haaland is a genuinely scary player because, and the reason I use that word in particular is because City cannot be at their very, very best, and he'll probably find a goal. That is the brilliance of him. That is the genius of an Erling Haaland, is he doesn't need the surroundings to be at their peak, at their maximum, to be playing to his strengths always, for him to come out with something. And that's what makes him such an inevitable force, doesn't it? You just feel like, when he missed the pen, I went, listen, he may as well have scored it, because I know he's scoring today at some point. So, City, I've got to give credit to, and also because, we saw Gary Neville a month ago saying that City City weren't on Arsenal Liverpool's level. He felt that Arsenal Liverpool were the only two teams who could really win the title. By that logic, Arsenal are going to win it, right? Because we're 8 points clear of them now. And a lot of people wrote off City, but they've sort of quietly put a bit of momentum together, despite the Villa loss, and I've coming out in a much better position. And actually, this is funny because the three international breaks, I think it's fair to say that all three sides expected to challenge for the title have gone into each international break with a boost. Liverpool would have gone into the first international break with a spring in their step, 3 wins out of 3, winning away at Newcastle, beating Arsenal. Arsenal would have gone into the last one top of the league, with Liverpool losing back-to-back games, spring in their step, a win at Newcastle, home win against West Ham. And City would have gone into this one thinking, okay, brilliant, from 6 points off, feeling that we were miles off Liverpool and Arsenal at various points of the season. We're now 4 points off Arsenal, and we know that we've got to welcome them to the Etihad. So from that perspective, every team has kind of had a little boost, and we're going to go into the main, longer, bulkier run of the season with every team left in it, and that includes Chelsea, that includes Sunderland, whoever's up there, going punch for punch for a little bit of a marathon, and that's going to be really interesting to watch how the teams deal with that. So, credit to City. I will say, though, I felt we learned that they're still vulnerable. I think through what's been a brilliant set of results, and we've got to give them credit for that, I think they have shown that in their games in which they score lots of goals, they can still concede quite a few chances. And I think Liverpool were worthy of two goals today, maybe. Obviously, it wouldn't have been enough to win, but I think they were worthy of a goal or two, certainly. And the big question is, should they have had one stand with that Van Dijk header? And this is what I want to talk about officiating for a second. Before people think, oh, bitter Arsenal fan, here he goes, he's going to complain about refereeing decisions. No, I feel quite calm about the weekend, and I feel quite happy about the position Arsenal are in, 4 points clear going into this international break, 8 clear of the champions Liverpool. But I think one thing I do definitely feel is that it's amazing how the 50-50s can sometimes sway, and this will have happened for Arsenal, I'm very aware of that too. It's amazing how the 50-50s can sometimes sway in the direction that have quite a big impact over a weekend. Now, my takeaway when I say that is I don't believe Zubimendi committed a foul on Isidore, but it's that free kick that leads to the opening goal for Sunderland. I don't think Van Dijk's header should be disallowed. I don't think you can categorically definitely say, which is what VAR's brought in for the clear and obvious decisions. I don't think you can definitely say that Donnarumma is going to get there anyway, because he's got a good sight at the ball, and, Robertson ducks, but, Donnarumma can see it anyway. So for me, one free kick shouldn't have stood, one goal should have standed. Look, City probably beat Liverpool anyway. Sunderland might have found another goal. But, these are kind of big decisions that are maybe the difference between, at the time, Sunderland getting an opening goal in a game they ended up drawing and City potentially being pulled back to 1-1. Now, again, I'm not complaining or moaning. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting how you can sometimes just have what feel like small moments have actually a bit of a ripple effect throughout the weekend. And actually, you're in a situation where City are 4 points behind and it could have been 7, 8, I don't know, whatever. But that will have gone Arsenal's way. I can't remember what. There's definitely a weekend this season where I looked at some of the decisions and went, oh, they really went in our favour this weekend. So that can absolutely happen. But I guess all this to say that if you're to win the title, you also need an element of luck. Sometimes you need those things to go your way. You need, injuries and all that to go your way. And yeah, I think when you look at the fact that we're perhaps a little unfortunate with that decision yesterday, when you look at the injuries we've had, when you look at, the bulk of games we've had, some of the fixtures we've had, I feel genuinely quite comfortable at the position Arsenal are in. For all that to have happened and Arsenal to be 4 points ahead of City, I feel genuinely quite good about it. However, Haaland is on a relentless run. He's on a really relentless run. Pep is, in my opinion, the greatest manager I've ever seen. Or at least level with Pep. Level with Sir Alex. And so you don't deny him. And then City are a group that have been there and done it. And for that reason, I'm concerned too. And I always thought that they would be much more a part of the picture this season than they were obviously last year, because I don't think Pep Guardiola sides ever take more than 1 year off when it comes to challenging for titles. So I've got my concerns there. But I do feel that Arsenal showed spirit in the second half yesterday. And I do feel that there are enough vulnerabilities in this City side to show that there will be an inconsistency that Arsenal can deal with in ways that, I don't think Arsenal could deal with the relentless nature of results that City could put up, 2-3 years ago. I don't think City have that right now. But I might be wrong. And this is just what I'm seeing now. Maybe in 2-3 weeks, my mind changes, because we are welcomed back to Premier League action after the break, with City travelling to Newcastle and Arsenal hosting Tottenham. And that, if City... It's kind of flipped, isn't it? This time we've got the Sunday game. They've got the trip to the north of England, with an away game, 5:30 p.m. kickoff. If City drop points in that, then there's an opportunity for Arsenal to open up a gap again and maybe make, a big statement of their own. And unfortunately, we have to wait a few weeks for that. But that's the nature of football. This will always come around. But I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I think what we've learned is that City are absolutely... a brilliant side still. I don't think anyone would be strange to me if you thought they weren't. But how brilliant is the question? Are they better than Arsenal? I really do feel pretty comfortable that we're still a better team than both of these. But I think they've got a lot of quality, and I think they are clicking away. That's a horrible click. I've got plaster on this one. You can hear it. But I think both Liverpool and City are kind of clicking away from them putting together the kind of runs that make Arsenal start to sweat and go, can't we have any more sort of Sunderland results like that? But it's still early. Now on Liverpool, they're 8 points behind. And of course, you never say never. Of course, you never say never. But I don't think you can win the title losing 5 games by basically mid-November. And you can't win the title, in my opinion, when you lose 3-0 away at your, one of the rivals. So, yeah, my kind of overall feeling is it's probably become a 2-horse race. I think it has. Things can change so quickly. And sorry, let me not disrespect Chelsea in that and others, but I think they've also shown an inconsistency. But isn't it funny how football works, right? Or how football fandom works. Because here I was as an Arsenal fan thinking, oh no, City, oh, they look like they're clicking. Oh, they've just beaten 3-0. They smashed Liverpool. Oh. And that just took a second to really internalise. I thought, well, okay, so if City win the league, well, they lost at Brighton and lost at home to Tottenham and lost 2 games in a row. So that would kind of have you believe that you can have really poor results through the season and still win it all. So, yeah. I just think Arsenal, there's no real cause for concern here. We keep doing our thing, and I think we'll be all right. The big thing is that City have been the Sharks. They've been the Chasers before. But I just think it was a different City. But if ever they had to make a statement and send a message to everyone, this is the way to do it, right? Smashing Liverpool 3-0. That's how you make a statement. And go into the international break, sort of letting, all other rivals, everyone who's chasing that crown, letting them know, hey, we're here. We are here for the long run. And that's pretty much everything I learned. I don't really think there's much more to add on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Arsenal remain top of the league, 4 points clear of City, 8 points clear of Liverpool. Also worth saying that, I forgot my point as I was about to say it, that Arsenal went into the last international break a point ahead of Liverpool, and they've now gone to this 4 points ahead of City. I think you've probably got to say that's a very decent body of work. And in that time space, City lost a game where we only drew. So, like I said, you look at it as a body of work, it's actually a very good return. I think we'd all have taken that going into this run of games. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Arsenal, 4 points clear, but City are building momentum. And it's going to have Arsenal fans sweating. But let's really analyse what we're seeing and not just think through the lens of the Arsenal PTSD and what City have done before. What I'm seeing now is some very, very, very good sides in this league, but I still think we're the best one. Let me know your thoughts. Catch you in a bit.